has taken a very long time to get here, unreasonably long time to get here. It never should have taken this long to indict a police officer for recklessly shooting an unarmed young man in his bed in the middle of the night. But we are also very grateful that the process, the criminal process, is now taking hold and has begun. I want to remind everybody too that the officer that has been indicted for murder and reckless homicide, Ricky Anderson, was a 30-year veteran of the Columbus Police Department. He should have known better. But we're also talking about an officer who had a less than distinguished career. He had over 60 complaints of excessive force during his time, much of which was in the last half of his career. Numerous of those excessive force complaints were sustained. Ricky Anderson is also a police officer who was fired for theft in office and then reinstated after an arbitration. He never should have been in the position to begin with to have the opportunity to take a young life like he did on August 30th, 2022. So I started out by saying this is a great day. It is, because the criminal process has begun, and we're grateful for the grand jury members and for the prosecutors for doing their jobs and for beginning the process to finally hold accountable a police officer who took a young life. You know, the reality is that there is a different justice system for citizens, and there's a different justice system for police officers. This never should have taken this long. Unfortunately, the length of time that it has taken to indict a police officer here, it causes us all to distrust the process. It really causes there to be a lot of questions about the process and whether it's fair and whether it works. But again, we're here, and we're looking forward to the criminal process proceeding and for Ricky Anderson being held accountable for murdering a young man. I want to say one other thing before I open the floor for questioning for Donovan's mom, Rebecca. On the morning of Donovan Lewis's funeral, Mayor Ginther met with the family and promised the family that he would ensure that they would be taken care of and justice would occur in this case. And he asked the family to be patient at that time. Well, the family has been more than patient. And it is time for the city and for the people that are responsible for running this city to do what's right in this situation and to make sure that this family not only gets justice on the criminal side, but that a really deep dive into what happened here occurs so that procedures and policies can change so that this doesn't happen to anybody else in our city ever again. With that, I'm happy to open the floor to any questions you have for Rebecca or any of us.
And I would like to make a quick comment as well. I will piggyback on what Attorney Elliott said regarding we're grateful for the indictment. But the indictment is just the first step. We want this officer to be convicted, we want him to be sentenced, and we want him to be held accountable for what he did that evening. Again, the indictment is just the first step, and it's taken this long just for the indictment. We want this process to go swiftly, and we want to make sure that this officer is in fact convicted for what he has been indicted on.
Donovan Lewis was given a death sentence, and it's time for Ricky Anderson to be held accountable for what he did as well. Questions?
Rebecca, when you woke up and heard this news, are you able to describe your immediate reaction after fighting for this for now almost a year?
I'm trying to keep it together. I cried, sadness, tears of sadness and joy, because I'm grateful that they did the right thing. They indicted him for what most definitely are the charges that he needs to be held responsible for. I'm still sad because bottom line is Donovan should still be here. But today is overall a good day.
hopes that the next process happens swiftly and that there is a conviction and there is a sentencing. What's going through your mind knowing that that's the timeline ahead, these are the next steps, this is now what you have to go through?
Unfortunately, that's out of our control, the timeline. That's why we continue to say, you know, we were promised accountability, we were promised transparency. Now's the time to step up and give us that. I do recognize that it is a process that can't happen from one day to the next, and we're ready for that. I've said it from the beginning. We're not stopping. We're not going anywhere, and we expect that he is charged.
And let me just kind of follow up on that as well. You know, in this particular case, we have body cam video. We all know what happened. All we'd have to do is hit play to understand what happened here. We understand that investigations are important, but the reality is that in cases like this, I think you know, police officers in the city and anybody else on the other side of the fence here, they want delay. They want people to become numb to what happened, and we are not numb to what happened. Rebecca and her family wake up every single day and relive August 30th all over again, and the people that you see here today, we're not going away.
If I can add to that, they didn't just take Donovan away from us. They hurt a community. It makes it hard to trust the process. It makes it hard to accept that the right thing will be done when we're not seeing it in real time.
You had said when you talked to the mayor right after this happened that he said there would be changes, more would be done. Since that time, have you seen changes?
Zero. Absolutely nothing, not even a phone call from the mayor.
Are you surprised by that?
Naively, yes. Now that we're a year into this, no, I'm not surprised. I'm a person of my word, and I believe that his word was bond, and it's not. It's sad and unfortunate, but when I say something, I mean it. I will follow through, and I expect for them to be held accountable to do the same.
Rebecca, we're just less than 1 month away from the 1-year mark of losing your son. When you think about the time, what's going through your mind? How are you feeling?
It's rough. It's rough for all of us, for anyone that knew him. Uncharted territory, I don't know. I'm doing my best to keep it together day by day. That's all I can really say. Bottom line is he should still be here, and I'm going to be grieving that for the rest of my life.
I assume you'll be in court during all the hearings.
Oh,
What
absolutely.
will it be like when you're in that room for the first time with Anderson?
I'm sure it's going to be emotional, but he deserves to look the people in the face that he directly affected, that he hurt. The delays and all that have allowed him to get further away from the incident, but we still feel it like it was yesterday. I want him to see the people that are directly affected by his actions.
How will this impact the course of the civil case, if it's going to impact it at all?
Yeah, so the civil case was filed, as you all know, a while ago. We are in the discovery process. We're going to take depositions. I have no doubt that Ricky Anderson will hide behind the Fifth Amendment when we depose him, but we intend to proceed full steam ahead, right along with the criminal case, because getting accountability on the civil side of things is as important as accountability on the criminal side.
When you filed that, you discussed possibly suing the city. Where does that stand?
Yeah, that's still an option, and we do believe that suing the city is right around the corner, particularly if the city doesn't do the right thing with regard to this family. And if we have, look, this city has a problem. This isn't isolated to Donovan Lewis. We've seen this far too many times in our city, and as we've said from the beginning, this case is about Donovan Lewis, but it's also about making sure we make the changes that are necessary, that no family ever has to go through this ever again. And if that's what it takes, suing the city in federal court along with the case we have in state court. That's what's going to happen.
And we've seen other cases like this, like you just mentioned, the criminal case keeps getting pushed off, and then so does the civil case. What are you guys going to do to make sure that that doesn't happen here?
Yeah, well, the reality is that the efforts to stall the civil case have been rejected by the court. We expect that the civil case is going to proceed as any other civil case does. Judge Phipps is a fantastic judge, and she has indicated to counsel that she's going to move this case along. The criminal side of things, we don't have any control over. We want the special prosecutors to be able to do their jobs. We know they will, but we do want to have justice at some point in the near future, and I can promise you we'll get that in the civil case. Criminal case might take a little bit longer, but I'm confident that Ricky Anderson is going to be convicted, and he's going to be held accountable for what he did.
Rebecca, if you are allowed to say anything to Ricky Anderson before his first arraignment is coming up, what would you say to him?
Right now I've got a lot of emotions going through, and I want to be respectful in how I speak, so I'm going to decline to answer that question at this time.
Anything else? Any other questions? Thank you again for being here this morning. We very much appreciate it. I know it was kind of last minute notice. We didn't get notified about this until shortly after the clerk's office opened, so we got you here as quickly as we could, and we thank you for your efforts to be here. Thank you.